which is going to be talking about connecting with India's billions. What are they watching and why are they coming back? I think two very important questions are going to be discussed in this really interesting conversation, which is going to be chaired by Aditi Oman, co-founder and head of marketing, Mylan Foundry. And in our panel, we have Saugata Mukherjee, head of content, Sony Live. We also have Gautam Talwar, chief content officer, MX Player, Aparna Achrekar, program head Z5 India, and Aditi Srivastava, co-founder Pocket Aces. A very warm welcome to all of you. Do we have, all right, so we have everybody here. So Aditi, I'm gonna leave the screen to you to take this conversation forward.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kathy, for the wonderful introduction. And thank you everyone for joining us today in this panel. I'm really excited because I think it's going to be a very fun panel. It's the bigwigs of the industry. And of course, a lot of them are old friends. So I think the conversation is going to flow and we will get a lot of interesting insights out of this discussion. I think we can, the topic itself is very exciting, right? So talking about what is the next, or rather what is a billion, the billion viewers in India, what are they watching, right? What is, what is a trend? What are they, what is, what are these bigwigs of the industry looking at in terms of short-term and long-term trends? So I think we would love to hear more about that. We could just start with, the simple question of what is the viewer watching? So maybe, we can start with Saugata. We spoke about how, it's a very nuanced question and it's a complicated question that everyone's trying to solve. But just would love to hear from you on, how do you see the trends of what kind of content works? What is, what is the interesting insight that you see happening today? And maybe a little bit about the nuance of how an AVOD versus an SVOD, how do you look at content differently depending on the business model? I think we would love to start with you.
Hi. Thank you, Aditi, and thank you, Exchange for Media, for this opportunity for us to sort of get together and meet old friends and discuss the industry trends. What is India watching? That's a very loaded question. I wish all of us knew that, and we would just be belting out bestsellers one after the other and big hits. But our industry, our digital world is a little complex today. I think there are different models. And I think Tarun was talking about it in the previous panel. That unlike anywhere else, we have a freemium model where you have the AVOD and the SVOD. You have the pure play SVOD model, and then you have the AVOD model, which players like MX Player. So all of these models work very differently from each other. The propositions are different, the strategies are different, the audience sets are different, and the programming is different. Having said that, I can only speak for myself. I am looking at the SVOD content business for Sony Live, and we've just had a rebirth into Sony Live 2.0. It's been just about a month. We've just launched about 4 or 5 shows. And it seems that if I take from my little understanding over the last few months, is that people are ready to give you a chance. People are ready to give you a chance. People are experimenting with genres. People are very happy to look at different kinds of content, whether it's a thriller to a drama, to a bit of a sitcom, to a maybe a military drama, all of that. I think what has happened is, in the last few months, I think the last few years, the digital content programming has become much more democratic. It's a sort of a level playing ground. It's no longer that one genre rules the roost. There is not one particular producer who's sort of taking charge of programming for everybody. So I think there is a motley crew of people working, new kind of storytellers coming into the fore. And I think never before, I think it's never happened before that so many platforms are actually experimenting with so many different kinds of genres. from a fantasy to a horror to a sitcom to really snacky content. All of it is sort of finding its audience, and the good part of it is that all of these shows have its own audience. However, I think when Gautam programs, because his platform is a pure play PVOD platform, he obviously has to look at the trends that real-time data allows him, which all of us are privy to. Unlike television, we have real-time data. We know exactly who's watching what, and we can't possibly overlook that. It governs a little bit of us, but not all of it.
Great. Thank you so much, Swagat. I think that's a great point. I think the fact that there's so many genres and so much experimentation going on is also very exciting. I think while genres are also expanding, other thing that is expanding is the format, right? So there's so many different formats of content that we can see today, starting from the short snackable format, like you mentioned, to even sort of looking at what kind of format works or what platform. For example, Pocket Aces, I think Aditi, recently I read in the news, you have launched an Instagram first format as well for your content. So would love to hear from you on what is a content provider's point of view in all of this.
Thanks, Aditi. Hello, everyone. I think, I think everybody will agree that the one thing that we know about the audience right now, especially, is that they're super bored. Right. So earlier there used to be pockets of consumption, right? So when people wake up, even on the pot, they're consuming content. Then, you have commute times where they're consuming content. Then people are consuming content even at work because they have good Wi-Fi, right? So, during lunch breaks and even between meetings, then commute back, and then, before sleeping, right? And then weekends, the thinking is that they're consuming longer form, etc. Right now, everybody is in the same place for the entire duration. So the consumption trends have become very, very interesting. And I think as a creator, our job is to capture as many attention minutes as possible of all of that time that they're spending on any platform. So, right from your large social media platforms, whether it is YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, etc., all the way to the, OTT platforms and the premium platforms as well, you want to kind of be in their lives throughout their journey. So when you have, there's data that says a typical Indian user is picking up their phones about 30 times in the day for about 5 minutes each. Now that session time has increased, right? So you want to provide data content for all of those pickup times. If they are picking up the phone for, a few minutes, or if they're sitting with their families deciding to binge watch something, you want to be there for the 1 minute content as well as the 120-minute content. So that's the way we are looking at it. Few more trends, for example, people are really, in COVID, whenever we release content, I think the one thing, because we are talking to users on a real-time basis, even through comments and through phone calls and stuff, they are just thankful to see something new. Right. So I think they are not worrying that much about, अच्छा इसका कितना बड़ा production value है. आपने एक new shows release किया. They are very thankful. In fact, they'll tell in the comments कि thank you so much, guys. You guys went out of your way to make something, release something. I'm sure other people are getting similar audience sentiments. And secondly, so they're not worried so much about exactly how it looks. They're just worried that it's authentic and it's new. Third big trend is UGC content. People are becoming content creators. This trend was anyway happening for the last, say 2-3 years, but even more so now, right? So even when you have gaming content is becoming even bigger day by day. So people are becoming streamers. They are, showing themselves playing to other people, and then people are watching other people play. So different types of gaming and esports. And even when people have to sing, right, or dance or do any such kind of thing. So UGC content is becoming really big. So I think right now for any content player or for any platform, it would be very interesting to try and capture all types of attention minutes of people, whether it is your very premium large series or, hey, I just want to watch something quick for 5 minutes. So that would be the creative perspective.
Interesting, very interesting. Thank you. Thanks, Aditi. And Aparna, what are your views on this? And, as a platform which is advertising based and subscription based. What is your view into this, into this question of determining how, what are viewers watching? What is your optimal strategy to sort of give the right content to viewers?
Hi Aditi and hello everyone. Viewers are watching everything, from a short format, hyper short content of 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 90 seconds. There's appetite for that, right up to a series, right up to binge watching a series that's possibly 40, 45 minutes an episode, and 8 to 10 episodes. So in that sense, there's appetite for everything, right? It really depends upon the time you have, the bandwidth you have, and what kind of platforms you're on. As ZEE5, we've realized that yes, in our vision to become a super app, we need to be able to cater to all sorts of audience. So, you must have heard about the new launch Hippie, which is our hyper shorts platform. So that will cater to the short format, snackable content. You have some time on the go and you can watch that content. But if you are a serious viewer and you want to watch some well-made content, well-made series, or you want to watch digital premieres, we just released Yara today, and that's going to be big. Last week was Omerta, and now coming up is Prakash Jha's Pariksha. So a lot of good content coming up there. So there is appetite in that sense, to watch everything. Really, what sort of content works, it's different for different types of audiences, right? Like in about 2 years now, we are now working on a data model that says, that has told us how many consumer clusters and how many content clusters we have. And we're actually trying to program more for those consumer clusters which are prominent on our platform, or those that we want to attract or solicit, right? And these consumer clusters then, are looked at from the point of view of their ARPU, their time spent, their, average watch days, and many other parameters that tell us that, yes, this is the kind of audience that's primarily attracted to your content, to your platform. And this is the kind of audience that's potentially outside that can possibly come to your platform and consume more content. Yes, and whether data being the oil to make these decisions, and of course, like Saugata said, it's not always only data, it's a lot of art that goes into that.
Right.
From short format to long format to all sorts of genres.
No, absolutely, great point, Aparna. And I think the fact that there is a lot more, quicker feedback we can get on who is enjoying what kind of content versus, let's say, maybe earlier in broadcast, where it is not as easy to get the feedback. I think it's just a very, very powerful tool, right? Data. I think yesterday when we spoke, you did mention that data, technology, and content is what sort of comprises OTT. So I think absolutely great point. And on that, I wanted to ask Gautam, because MX Player also is an extremely data-driven OTT player. So how does data also help you determine, or analytics, of course, help you determine what kind of content? And also one more, follow-up question there is, does it also make it difficult, especially we're talking about short form snackable content, is the user or the viewer also, getting distracted very easily? Is it difficult to retain them? What do you see from your data analytics? How are you sort of approaching that? Love to hear on that.
Sure. I think like Saugata said that multiple business models, and every business model will have its own content strategy piece. We are an AVOD player, and therefore what makes it large, just for the fact that we are AVOD and we're not charging anything to the consumer as of now, it's just that the depth of distribution is pretty large. So at 75 million daily actives and about 175 million monthlies, the challenge really is that there is a very broad spectrum of consumers on the platform already. So the challenge really is to figure out, what are they watching? They're watching everything. Like, all my peers have very, very articulately put that they actually watch everything, right? I guess we're all going through the same, in terms of data, and we look at cohorts, we look at, the genre specification. I mean, there are multiple variables that actually go into actually analyzing what piece of content is being watched. I think the trick is really to find out what are they going to be watching. I think that's the real tough question for all of us. Unfortunately, in a data-driven world and in a platform-driven world where technology can really change very, very fast, speed to market is really critical. Content business, unfortunately, is the exact reverse. It still takes us more than a year to put something out. starting from the script right up to actually putting it out there. So I think a lot of data is used to understand what they're actually watching right now. I think that's critical. Specification, at least broadly, directionally, they can tell us, what genres they've been watching. But I think crystal ball gazing is the fine art eventually, because by the time we actually analyze the data today and actually land up giving you a piece of content, it's going to be more than a year. So I think that's the tougher part of the content business,
Right.
So yeah, in terms of what they're watching everything. They're watching absolutely. We've launched MX Takatak as well for the UGC generated piece. But really, I think largely, I think we're all looking out for, like I think Aditi put it very succinctly. She said retention time. I call it, share of throat, share of wallet, and now I think it's share of time. I think it's the share of time that all of us will be vying for, and it really depends on what you're coming out with. Consumer is not really that fickle. They're pretty open to giving you a chance to watching something on your platform. But yeah, like you said, they are really, I think the attention span is really low. So if you're not making sense to them in the first 3 to 5 minutes, it's bye-bye to most people, right? At least on an AWOD platform. I guess it will be different from SWOD. When they pay you some money, then they want to say, okay, what is the value that I can take out? But on an SWOD, they're a little more ruthless to us. They're saying that if it doesn't work for them, it doesn't work for them.
You know what? This reminds me of something I'd read long back. David Simon, who was the executive producer of The Wire, once said that if you ask the audience, they will only ask for ice cream. Don't give them ice cream. Give them vegetables. So I think it's very important to sort of look at as producers of or the owners of content. It's very easy to dish out ice cream after ice cream, but it's very difficult to dish out a salad after ice cream. So I think that's what we are trying to do.
Yeah, and it's tough, to be honest with you, right? Like we keep saying, what the transition to OTT has largely done is the fact that it's taken away the appointment factor, right? You can watch it, it's video on demand. So what it does is that it really depends on what mood you are in, and therefore we actually cater to the mood that you're in, and that's what our campaign also talks about, right? It's everytainment for every mood. It's really about the fact that you may be in a mood for snacking and you go into the short UGC piece, and you're in a mood to really just relax, and the need states are very different. So it's unlike one dish will serve everything. It's never going to be like that, because you as a consumer as well, Aditi, will be watching crime, thrillers, comedy, sitcom as one consumer, right? So
Exactly.
If you are a multiple genre consumer, I'm assuming that everybody is, and therefore if everybody is, I think the tech part comes into place in, can I serve you what you like?
Yes.
And that's the other part of the challenge that we're all going to be learning for the next 3 to 4 years, I guess.
Yes, no, that's a great point. And now if I want, how do I choose which which show to watch, right? So I think it is to a great extent determined by what I am being recommended.
Yeah.
So I think one piece is creating the right content. The other is also making sure you're recommending the right kind of content at the right time. Because, let's say at the end of a day when I'm really tired, I probably just want something where I can switch off, and I don't want to put too much of my brains into understanding. But there'll be other times when on a weekend, if I'm starting a show, I want to watch whatever is like some intelligent thriller. So it really depends also on the time of the day, what the user is going through. So I think it's really tied very closely, right? Whereas content is still a creative decision, angle of how you can take data and analytics to kind of feed it in the right way. So very interesting. And I think on that point, Aditi, you when we spoke, you also mentioned about how you use social media to also kind of test out shorter format of the content to kind of see what works before you create longer form content. I think that was very interesting. If you could maybe talk a little bit more about how you go about, because it's really interesting to see how, it's all about the user journey, right? So it's not the same person is also browsing on social media and watching snackable content, but also wanting to watch longer form content on an OTT platform or on another platform. So how do you navigate through that user journey? Would be very interesting to hear that.
Yeah, I think the key there is to test out themes, test out concepts, test out actors, etc., and B, to reduce risk into larger investments, right? So when as as somebody said before this, that, it's still a really long journey to create a large show, right? Minimum 6 months, most, sometimes it goes up to a year as well. So if you're investing that time and money, then you better get it right. Right. And of course, you better get it right for whatever audience it's intended for whatever platform it's intended for, right? So there are multiple variables into that. So what we do is that before investing into a concept, we will actually do a lot of testing using short format, right? And using, we are reaching about 50 million people weekly through our content across social media platforms. So we will put out sort of video memes, polls, shorter format stuff to test various things. Even things like plot points. So for example, in one of our popular shows, What the Folks, we wanted to test whether the protagonists, whether the audience would be open to them discussing whether or not to have a child. Right now, this is something which you think that, okay, at least in sort of metros and urban centers, this would be a acceptable discussion. But again, our audience was much massier than that, with tier 2, tier 3 audience as well. So you wanted to make sure that it would be palatable to them. So we actually put out lots of shorter format stuff and got responses from the audience, right? And this is via Facebook, via Instagram, etc. And what we realized is across various demographics as well, now people are open to having these kind of conversations. And so this plot point was a large plot point in season 3 of the show for us, right? That's one way that we use data. Another way is, for example, if we made a bunch of videos, we've actually found lots of pairings through our short format that we've then made bigger shows with. So whether it is Dhruv Mithila of Little Things, or whether it is Ayush Barkha of our series Please Find Attached, etc. These are all pairings we have discovered via short format, and then people just love them together. It's like, and so, you invest more in them, right? And of course, we have a talent management arm as well. So it kind of all is a nice little set of song and dance, that sort of feeds into each other. So that's, of course, one way into what to make in terms of plot points and stuff like that. But yes, it's not like you are asking the audience, should I make this show or should I make this show? As Saugata rightly said, they're not going to be able to answer that. You have to be a lot more subtle in how you ask and what exactly you're looking for. And data can just provide you, just numbers. You have to then draw the insights from it and apply the insights. So yeah.
Right. No, absolutely. Great point. Glad that you brought up Dhruv and Mithila. I was watching Little Things once again. Now, of course, the season 3 is on Netflix, but I think what a great, find. I think the chemistry there, even in the first season, is just amazing. I think that also kind of showcases how, like you said, short format content can sometimes really lead you to certain, content which can really work on long format as well, right? And it's a quick and easy way, maybe, or easier, if I may put it that way, to find out. But it can really be a great indicator, I think. And the fact that, like I said, the same people that I'm watching on short format on my social media, there is a relatability that also comes, right? Which is also very important for a lot of the millennial users, especially because they are no longer thinking of platforms as separate units, right? I mean, it's all sort of, it's all homogeneous, it's all flowing into one another. So it's interesting to think, to understand how you are actually using the short format and the long format content and how the confluence is happening. That's really interesting. The other question that everybody, of course, has in mind right now is what has changed with COVID, right? I mean, the so-called new normal that we talk about. Saugata, I think you when we spoke, you said nobody was prepared for a pandemic, but I think everybody has sort of, most agile companies have learned how to adapt and sort of make the best out of the situation. So would love to hear from you on what were the challenges that you faced from a content standpoint, and also what are the opportunities? Because I do feel that, in some ways, the new form of, consuming content, everybody's at home, everybody's sort of watching more content, would also have brought in certain opportunities. So would love to hear your view on that.
So yes, none of us really planned for a pandemic. I mean, you had sort of suited and up for a party, and you end up going to a cremation. Sort of, that's what happened. Now,
Ouch.
now the fact is, what we have done, all of us over the last couple of months have changed strategies, changed gears, pivoted from the strategy that we had probably starting at the starting of the year, and brought in certain kind of changes in programming. Like, I think all of us have looked at acquiring some new films, which was not possibly, it was not on top of our list, but it has become important to us because, you're riding a beast and that beast needs to be fed. And if the production stopped, your business doesn't, right? So you need to sort of keep on churning out content. As far as we are concerned at Sony Live, we had planned for the year, right? When I joined early on in the year, I had a pretty much clear idea of what it is going to be till about October, November, right? Unfortunately, just as I was getting into the groove of things, the pandemic hit. A couple of shows that we had just put on for production had to be stalled. Things had to be sort of turned around. But all of that had happened. Nothing has really stopped us from launching on time. We have pretty much held on to the launch date that we had. But yes, we've had to pivot and get some films which were not on the roster. Even if they were probably planned for latter part of the year. We brought them on. I think all of us have been grappling with it. Having said that, I think we are all hoping that in the next 6 odd months, we'll have to tide over with smart content programming. We are a little, with especially the freemium model businesses like Aparna's and ours, we have a huge bank of content from television, right? We come from traditional media, broadcast media backgrounds, and we have thousands of hours of content. I think most of these players are trying to look at the library that they have, both in terms of films and in terms of shows that they've had. They're trying to repurpose them, make them, give a twist into the programming part and make it look new. All of that is happening. But having said that, nothing, there is not one particular route that you can take. You're trying out several things to tide over the next few months. I think all of us, it's a paradox that businesses are affected, but OTT viewership has just skyrocketed, which means that you need to again feed the beast. We've had never seen before numbers on all our platforms, right? Now, people want more. There is no chance of you getting into production, and it's not like a biscuit factory that you put it into the mold and the biscuit just comes out of it, right? It takes months and years to put together a show. It's tough, but we're learning. I think we are sort of trying to smartly program our next few months, and I'm hoping, keeping fingers crossed, that things will roll back into the normal, not the new normal that we speak today, and we'll be back on track.
Interesting. And you talked about repurposing also of some of the old popular content. So Aparna, do you also see that, do you see people going back to watching some of the popular shows that were probably, people weren't watching that anymore, but now because there's not as many news shows coming out, do you see that trend happening or not so much?
We do. On ZEE5, we've seen consistent viewership for these library content, right? And the unfortunate death of Sushant Singh Rajput and, Pavitra Rishta, which was his, first very popular television show. So a lot of viewers came to the platform and, started consuming Pavitra Rishta. There always has been a latent demand for shows like Jodha Akbar and some of these very popular library across different languages. So library viewership happened. Yes, because there were no new episodes of TV content coming. Library was becoming a little more discoverable. In fact, we also ensured such that, library content, older content that people either there was a huge nostalgia factor around that, or people could just discover new content to watch. So library did get a lot of prominence during this period. What really helped us sail through the last 4 months was some decent banking. So, while we had a couple of shows that we had created and that, those were in the final stages of post. So some very swift action immediately when the pandemic hit, in the third week of March. I know we were already, shifting machines from the central operations to people's homes and trying to get, everybody to upgrade their Wi-Fi connections and things so that there could be connectivity. And a lot of posts then happened from people's homes. Right, so that really helped us sail through this, and we had tried this format of bilingual. So we launched a couple of shows. We launched 3 shows, in fact, during the COVID period, which is Mafia, Lal Bazaar, and Kali. And all 3 of them are bilingual. They are shot in both Bengali and Hindi. And that kind of experiment really proved very well for us because we had good Hindi shows as a lineup. We could launch one every month. So there was actually not a single month where ZEE5, when we already have more than 130 plus originals on the platform now. There was not a single month where there was no new content launch coming. Plus, it was actually a launch in 2 languages. So whatever, we couldn't take forward at this time, that really smart banking and some strategic decisions, maybe for rainy days like these, kind of really helped. For the future slate, we've now, looked at it very, very differently, right? Because we know that you have COVID norms now to take care of when you're at shoots. A lot of our talent, many of us are still very apprehensive to come back on sets. The number of crew members we now have at sets are very, very less, very, very limited. So things have taken a very drastic change now. We've relooked at our scripts. Even from the kind of stories, we are now looking at a lot more stories that are of hope, inspiration, joy, happiness, because so much catharsis already around us. All that we're looking forward to is, the new unlock norms and what will open and when this will open and when that will open. So no one really wants to watch too much tragedy or too many dark stories now. So all of those things have really changed for us in the last 4 months.
Very interesting. I was also thinking how everybody is sort of adapting, right? So I follow a lot of these stand-up comics on YouTube, etc., and many of them are now kind of pivoting around how they should create content and even collaborate from home, right? So I think it really, necessity is the mother of invention in certain ways, right? So there are newer forms and newer ways of collaborating also, which is evolving because of the situation we are in. I can also see that there are a lot of interesting questions that are being brought up here by the audience. So I thought I'll take up 1 or 2. There's one which is very interesting from Vivek Mathur, who's basically asking, do you guys feel that the audience is ready for ahead of the curve content, especially in OTT, right? So that's always a question. A lot of things that a broadcast wouldn't have traditionally done. There's a lot more experimentation in OTT. Do you see that themes and situations which have not been tried in India before are being done today? So maybe Gautam, would love to hear your view. MX has always been a pioneer in terms of experimenting with new themes, new kinds of content. So would love to hear what is your opinion on this.
Yeah, no, undoubtedly. I think I think that's the beauty of OTT. I think it gives you the expression that you really want. It gives the most of the creative community the expression that they are trying to create. So as far as the audience is concerned, like, even during the COVID period, we were one of the few people who've gone through exactly what my peers have gone through, and we've done exactly the same thing. But we had to kind of double up. And like Saugata says, it's a beast. Once the beast, you're riding it, you've got to keep feeding it, right? And it's important that you do that. And we literally launched about 7 shows during the COVID period, and it just exploded. So the fact that there is a need for content definitely is. The fact that there is a need for differentiated content is definitely true. The reason why they will come to your platform is that if they're finding the same kind of content everywhere else, then there will be no differentiation factor. It's as simple as that. So are we experimenting with newer stories, newer ways to tell the stories, absolutely new narratives, mixing genres, building interactivity into our stories? Yes. I think all of those are in the pipeline, and I think that's the beauty of the OTT. It lets you experiment because on a digital platform. It may also give you the interactivity inbuilt into some of the story that you want to tell. So yeah, Vivek, for sure. I think we are all. I mean, I can definitely say that for MX, we're definitely looking at, getting the freshness, getting some new stories, getting some stories that wouldn't have ever been told on any other platform. I think that's the other thing. There are stories that are not to be told in other platforms, right? There is a difference between a lean forward medium and a lean back medium. Television is a lean back medium. The mobile is a lean forward medium, right? So when you're really involved, if you can't hold that level of involvement in a mobile screen, then there is a problem. Therefore, the narrative structure itself is very different. So yes, for sure, Vivek, we'll definitely be looking at newer stories for sure.
Very interesting. Aditya, what is your view on this?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think it is the best time for us to push the envelope because people are hungry to watch, hungry to experiment. And, as somebody said earlier, you just need to make sure you're capturing their attention, right? So as long as you keep their attention, then they're very willing to appreciate all formats. So for us as well, whether it is a sitcom or a detective show or like a global corporate drama or a gaming show or a rom-com or a thriller, we have all of these different types of things in development currently. And, the past 3-4 months have also been like development utopia for everybody. So I think everybody's raging to go on floors. We're going on floors with our first show, like a first web series shoot in August post the pandemic. So, hoping that, it all goes well and then, opens the gates for everybody to shoot. But yeah, I think people are very, very open and willing. And I do think, one of the things I'll add, in any such situation, whether it's a recession or of course this is completely unprecedented, but it is all about, having a strong business model and innovate or perish, right? So we really all have to kind of think on our feet, move really fast, make sure you have various different kind of revenue models or funding models up your sleeve because anything can dry at any point. So I think the people who have been smart in fundamental business will be able to kind of ride this tide with a little bit more risk-taking ability rather than, people who have just relied on maybe one source of funding or something to that effect. So, yeah.
Right. Interesting. And I think in the same note where we're talking about content, becoming bolder and experimentation happening, I think there's also a question about regulation. So on that, Saugata, just wanted to ask, I think the question here is from Web Times on, whether there is going to be government sort of regulations on the kind of content, or is OTT going to be more self-regulated going forward? So what is, would love if you can throw some light on that as well.
Look, I think, we're just about 3 years old, and it's frankly, there's not much content which we have, there's a lot more content to be produced. Number of shows, even if we put all the shows together, aren't that many. But yes, this is a time when we are all settling down for the first time. When we started out, I think it was like almost being like a kid in a candy store, right? And when you're a kid in a candy store, you go erratic. You sometimes misbehave, right? So the issue is, I think all of us as broadcasters, as OTT platforms, we're quite mindful of what we're putting out, and we're quite mindful of the kind of content that we are putting out to our audience. Of course, there is a difference between an AVOD content and an SVOD content. When you're on an SVOD play, it is behind the paywall. So essentially, you're watching it out of your own volition, right? But if you're in an AVOD play, you need to be a little more careful because the fact is that you are actually reaching out to anyone's living room with kids and the entire family in there. But having said that, I don't think there is any one of us creatively would think in terms of the fact that whether it's going to am I going to commission a show basis the norms and regulations set? I don't think that still happened, and I don't think that will happen. All the platforms are very cognizant of what they want to do and how they want to do it. Are we going to push the envelope? Of course, we are going to push the envelope. Look at the kind of content, in spite of, for good or for bad, lots of content that all the platforms have put out, have asked very relevant questions. Sometimes they are very different from the the grammar itself of what Gautam was talking about. For the first time, we have a new grammar of telling a story. I mean, we've been telling stories on a 2.5 hour, 2 hour format for 100 years, and we've done it very, very well. And then we've had 20, 25 years of telling stories on television, which run into thousands of hours of content. And for the first time, we've got a chance to tell stories within an 8 hour format or a 6 hour format, which is very, very different from what we've been used to. It's been a learning process, mind you, for us as executives, as makers on the other side, and the platforms per se, right? Regulations, yes, I don't think we worry so much about it, but we are very mindful of what we are putting out, and as we should be, as as broadcasters with a certain kind of onus on them. But it's entirely self-regulatory, and I don't think it is it sort of weighs down so heavily that it impinges on your creative forces.
Right. No, I think great points, Sagat, and I think that is the right way to go as well, right? You do not want the either extremes as well. There is creative liberty that should not get curtailed by too much regulation. It's also sort of important to have that self-regulatory sort of wisdom to identify is the right kind of content at what point. I think that's a very good point. I know that we do not have a lot of time, so maybe what I'm going to ask is, my favorite question whenever I sort of like to talk about people, in any industry, what is the future that you see? And I think technology always has a great, role to play when we look at the way even content is going to change. I love how Netflix experimented with, interactive content with the episode Bandersnatch on Black Mirror. But I think then Aparna and I also spoke about how even Z had, a few years back experimented with an interactive form of content. Of course, this was a while back when it was not exactly, it was more on telephone, as in, where viewers can call and then that determines what is the next segment that's going to be showcased. But just wanted, just quickly, maybe we could just, each one of you could tell me what you think is that one exciting trend that you think will be sort of the future of content. Maybe we can start with you, Aparna.
Interactivity in content. The beauty of the digital medium is that it's two-way, right? That's something that always ailed television. And while we did try a format like this in 2001, and we were talking about it yesterday, it was called Aap Jo Kahe Ha To Ha, Aap Jo Kahe Na To Na, right? And the last segment would depend upon what viewer responses were in the earlier segments, and they would play that out accordingly. As content creators, interactivity, two-way communication is something that has always fascinated us, right? So interactivity in content, I mean, the great thing that digital brought to the consumer was empowerment of the consumer. You could write there, you could post a comment there, you could like something, you could dislike something, you could express your anger, right? So that is something that as makers we want to get into our content is how can we make that interactive, whether it is going to be open endings, whether it is going to be consumers determining how they want their story to progress, and then you give them different options. That's something that we've all wanted to, or whether it's AR or VR into your content, so you give a more holistic 360-degree experience, and we're all experimenting with all of this in some or the other way. So yes, the future of content is going to be very, very interesting. It will be for the segment of one, at the same time for large masses. So in that sense, television and commercial cinema was always for the masses, but now you're looking at a segment of one. So interactivity that engages an individual at the same time is able to engage huge numbers at the same time. So, yeah, interesting.
Thanks so much, Aparna. And Gautam, what about you? What do you think is that one trend?
Yeah, I think I'll just take it slightly more global in that answer. It's like saying, there are tech companies and then there are media companies, right? The true blue media company like Disney is learning tech, I guess, and a true blue tech company like Netflix is probably also trying to get a handle on
The lines are blurring.
yeah, the lines are blurring. And I think if the lines are blurring, I think the important part is that when the marriage actually happens between media and tech, right? I think sky is the limit. AR, VR, interactivity. I mean, interactivity in non-fiction has been done a long time back. I mean, the beauty is going to become like in your narrative structure, can you actually build an interactivity on a fiction show, on a dystopian show. I mean, it's literally what you can imagine. Can you immerse yourself in content? Can you see yourself in that piece of content? It's just whatever I think you can imagine. The tech world will make sure that yes, they'll tell you definitely yes, doable. Give me this much time, and that's the beauty of content. I think it's going to change completely how you're going to consume it. The pace of it is going to be different in different parts of the world. But I think we're not going to be really far behind. I think we've got the best tech people in this country. We've got great creative minds. I think they just need to come together. We've just started to come together. And I think the faster that happens, the more interesting options to consuming content is going to happen. Interactivity for sure is going to happen way sooner than later.
And absolutely, and India is always so fast in adopting new tech as well, right? So I
think we'll be creating. I don't think we'll be adopting.
Yes,
I think
we will be creating. Absolutely, we will be creating as well. Definitely. Saugata, what about you? What do you think is that one trend?
Well, I think there's no one trend, but technology is, of course, going to be very, very important. And we are quick learners. We've turned around things much faster than probably many other geographies have done over the last many years. But I think some of we are, like I said, we are a nascent sort of stage even now. We need to get our basics right. We need to tell really great stories. I'd love to see an Indian story travel the world. I mean, I don't see no reason why we can't create a Fauda from here, or we can't create a Money Heist from India, which travels to the US or any part of the world. I think that is that's something that we should be trying, that, we should have content which really travels globally. The tech part, we are really, I think as a country, we do rather well, and we would manage that rather well over the next couple of years. You can't, I think this is an industry which is tech and content come in equal measure, right? And those will continue to happen. And I'm very hopeful that over the next couple of years, it's going to, soar and reach new limits.
No, absolutely. And I think it's a great point that, tech is an enabler. I think it's also about the storytelling, and India has such amazing stories. I think it'll be really good to see some of those go very global. It's already happening, and maybe that's the future. Absolutely. And we've run out of time, but Aditi, would love to hear your, your view on that. And with that, we'll close this panel and sort of move on to the next one. What do you think is that one thing that excites you?
I agree with everything that's been said so far, for sure. I think this whole AR, VR, seeing yourself in the content, etc. I think everyone's trying to make those few titles that really break out and become like the new Narcos, right, of the world. I think the only thing I'd like to add is that there's socialization of content as well. That is a big thing that we should be thinking about. So like, a few things have been tried till now, like for example, watch party, right? So you're sitting here, your friends are sitting in various parts of the country or the world, and you can watch something together. It hasn't really taken off, but again, it's a very interesting tech solution to a social sort of a need, right? So the socialization of content, see, earlier we looked at the West, they were a little bit ahead. Then we looked at the East until like last month. They were a little bit ahead. I think the time for us is now. And we can merge this whole, how does big premium content merge with pop culture and socialization? If then the buzz created for that content, I mean, we all know what Indian matchmaking has done. Might not be good or bad or whatever, but everybody is like talking about it, and the buzz is huge because of the socialization. So I think I would like to add that one factor. If we could look at it that way, then that could really break the internet in various ways.
No, absolutely. And I would love to end on that point that the time for us is now. Absolutely. So thank you very much. Thank you, the entire panel for a really engaging and exciting conversation. And I think we'll now move on to the next panel. With this, we'll call it a day from our end. Thank you, Kathy. Over to you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Aditi.
thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
All the panelists, and thank you.